You wake up at 42 and realize the life you were promised is not the life you are living. You look at your bank account and see a number that feels like a weight, a heavy, suffocating anchor dragging behind a ship that is supposed to be sailing toward freedom. You are working harder than ever, yet the horizon never gets any closer. If you feel like your money is simply vanishing into thin air, you are not alone, but you are in danger of spending the next 20 years digging a hole you can never climb out of. The truth is that your finances are currently being cannibalized by a series of silent, invisible mechdown. Invisible may heaven sheathed just mace. By the end of this journey, you will recognize exactly how this cycle operates and why it is keeping you stationary while the rest of your future slips between your fingers. Most men in their 40s find themselves caught in a rhythm of high exertion and low reward. You have the professional experience, the work ethic, and the drive, but the math just does not seem to align with the effort. You probably tell yourself that if you just get that promotion, or if you wait for the next bonus, the pressure will finally subside. You wait for the storm to pass, but the storm is actually the climate you have built for yourself. You notice the same patterns repeating. The credit card balance that never quite reaches zero. The subscriptions you do not use. The impulsive purchases that promise a fleeting sense of control. It feels like a subtle, persistent exhaustion, a quiet hum of stress that follows you from the office to your kitchen table every single night. The error is not that you are lazy or that you are lack ambition. The error is that you are treating your finances like a plumbing problem when they are actually a psychological trap. You are obsessed with the outflow, focusing entirely on cutting back, drinking cheaper coffee, or canceling streaming services while ignoring the invisible architecture of your spending habits. This is the hidden flaw. You are attempting to solve a crisis of value with the strategy of scarcity. You are conditioned to believe that if you just tighten your belt enough, you will eventually reach stability. But the more you focus on the restriction, the more your brain craves an escape, leading to the erratic bursts of spending that destroy your progress. It is a feedback loop of deprivation followed by compensation. People will tell you that the secret to becoming wealthy is simply spending less than you earn. They preach the gospel of extreme frugality as if it were a moral virtue, but this is a hollow, dangerous lie. If you focus only on the pennies, you miss the structural breakdown of your financial philosophy. Most men fail, not because they spend too much on luxuries, but because they have no clear defined utility for their capital. They are saving money for the sake of survival, rather than for the sake of expansion. Without a clear target, your money has no mission. And if your money has no mission, it will inevitably drift toward the path of least resistance, which is usually someone else's pocket. Less of us tented bra, providably pizza bar. Let us by sorry dissectoratity of mats and of the hidden mechanics fighting every spending. Please consider subscribing. Plead this Seishi E Reawid. We are building a community here, and any was they eat too. For men who are tired of the surface level advice and are ready to dissect the psychological realities of wealth. Your engagement helps us reach more men who are currently sitting in the dark, wondering why their hard work has not yet translated into the peace of mind they deserve. Now, consider the consequences of staying on this path. Every year, you continue to confuse austerity with strategy. You lose the most precious asset you possess, which is time. In your 40s, compound interest is not your best friend. It is your most unforgiving judge. Every $1,000 you lose to interest payments on debt or to impulsive status consumption is not just a lost fight cash. It is the loss of a future version of yourself that could have been entirely free from the need to answer to anyone. You're essentially paying for your own chains. The tension you feel in your chest is the subconscious recognition that your runway is shortening. If you do not change the mechanism of your decision-making now, you are choosing to work for the rest of your life. The solution is not more spreadsheets or more restrictive diets for your bank account. It is the implementation of what I call the mission-based allocation strategy. You must stop viewing your income as a pile of money to be protected and start viewing it as a fleet of soldiers to be deployed. Each dollar must have a specific designation: defense, which covers your emergency reserves; offense, which targets high-interest debt; and growth, which is your future capital. When you assign a mission to every single dollar before the month even begins, you remove the psychological burden of choice. You no longer have to decide whether to buy that unnecessary item because the money is already earmarked for a mission that is far more important than a fleeting impulse. There is a deeper, more uncomfortable truth that most men refuse to acknowledge. The reason you are still struggling is because you are emotionally attached to the symptoms of your status rather than the reality of your net worth. You want to look like the man who has made it, so you prioritize the externals: the car, the watch, the appearance of effortless success, over the internal foundation that actually supports those things. When you realize that nobody is watching your financial performance as closely as you think they are, the pressure to maintain that facade will vanish. And that is when you will finally have the surplus required to change your trajectory. This is the climax of your transformation. You have to be willing to be the man who lives differently than the people around you. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. For years, you have been playing by the rules of a game that was designed to consume you, relying on the hope that your labor would eventually be rewarded by a market or a system that does not care about your personal success. You possess the power to stop being a passive participant in your own decline. You must take complete, absolute ownership of the narrative of your money. It is not about how much you make. It is about the cold, hard logic of how you allocate what remains after you have fulfilled your obligations to your futures to self. Phil Yax says you started this video as a man looking for a way Dan zat down out of a high grade to work crides. What remains after thee who have fulfilled? You now see that the waste was never just about the money. It was about the lack of intention behind every decision. The mystery of your missing wealth is solved. It was never a series of big, catastrophic mistakes. It was the steady, invisible erosion caused by a lack of vision and the constant need for external approval. The path forward is clear, though it requires a level of discipline that most are unwilling to exercise. You have the tools now. You have the insight. The only thing left is the execution. Look at your life, define your true mission, and stop letting your money adrift into the void. The next decade will define the rest of your legacy. Make sure it is a decade of intentional, calculated, and relentless growth. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next analysis.